This video is by Straight Goods News, SGNews.ca.
As the Member of Parliament for an area where we know well the pain of families and communities that have lost a daughter, a sister, a mother, a friend, we know that action must be taken. And I'm honored to stand here with families of sisters in spirit and a family. Both of these women are family members, are people that have lost their loved ones to this national tragedy that is missing and murdered Aboriginal women. But today we are here to call for action. We are here to call on the federal government to call a national inquiry into missing and murdered Aboriginal women. Enough is enough. No other woman, no other Aboriginal woman need go missing or be murdered in our country. We need a national inquiry to get to the bottom of why so many women are going missing. We need to look at the systemic poverty, the extreme marginalization that Aboriginal women in Canada face. On every indicator, we know that Aboriginal women are the most marginalized in our country. We need to look at the possible allegations of police misconduct, such as those highlighted in the Human Rights Watch report that came out yesterday. We need to listen to international actors like Human Rights Watch, CEDAW, and others that are turning their eyes to Canada and asking why the federal government is not taking action. We need to look at the impact of government neglect vis-a-vis First Nations and Aboriginal people in our country. But ultimately, we need to find answers and commit to action. And my message to you here today, and the message from the NDP, is that only when we commit to action through a national public inquiry will we be able to give justice to the women that have gone missing or are murdered, the 600 plus women. And only then will we give justice to the families that have been hurting and to the communities that have been broken because of this tragedy. We demand nothing less than a national public inquiry, and we will not rest until that inquiry is called for. That's a great question. I mean, why has it taken so long? Why is there a national tragedy that more and more Aboriginal families and communities face day in and day out without the federal government taking action? I mean, yesterday's response in the House from the government, from the Prime Minister, were callous. I mean, if we're really going to deal with what's going on here, they're going to listen to what civil society and others have been saying, which is it's time for a national public inquiry. I mean, the international community, not just Human Rights Watch, but CEDAW, and others at the international level are saying, what is going on in Canada? Why are Aboriginal women dying, being killed and disappearing? And where is the federal government? This is a test for them. The voices of Aboriginal women, Aboriginal leaders, civil society is getting louder and louder, and we don't have time to wait. Enough is enough. No more women need to die or to go missing.
But again, why do you think they haven't? What's the opposition to this inquiry?
Well, I mean, an inquiry would look into various aspects of why this violence is happening. Does the federal government have a role to play? Absolutely. I mean, we heard an apology about residential schools, but the funding to deal with healing from residential schools has been severely cut. Funding for addictions, for counseling, for supports, for education. I mean, there's also a protest on the Hill today for equal funding for for First Nations education. I mean, the federal government has shirked this responsibility time and time again. But here we're talking about life and death, and we need the federal government to step up and see that this is a time that there's no time to wait. I'd say it's an international shame, and we're getting shamed at the international level that the federal government is not taking leadership and is not stepping up to begin to find answers for the tragedy that is missing and murdered Aboriginal women.